There are a certain number of verbs in Spanish that are called reflexive verbs. You can find these verbs because there is generally a se on the end. Notice the dash. That does mean that there's something that comes before it, like lavarse, or cepillarse, or bañarse, or ducharse, etc. If you take off the se, you'll notice there's an AR on there, so it looks like a verb you're used to seeing. All of the reflexive verbs have an extra step with the se because you need to say myself, yourself, himself, herself, along with whatever the verb means. So for instance, bañar is to bathe. Bañarse is to bathe oneself. So there is a different way to say I bathe the dog or I bathe myself. They do make a distinction in Spanish. So to conjugate a reflexive verb, step one is to take off the se and then put it in front and change it to the correct reflexive pronoun. After that, you conjugate the verb as you normally would. So, for instance, reflexive pronouns: me, te, se, nos, os, and se. So, for the example, the verb bañar that I just wrote above. You've taken off the se, you've put it in front, and you've changed it to the correct reflexive pronoun. Now you conjugate the word bañar as you normally would. Take off the AR, the subject is yo, so you change it to an O. Bañas, baña, bañamos, bañáis, bañan. So now that says I bathe myself, you bathe yourself, he bathes himself, we bathe ourselves, you guys in Spain bathe yourself, they bathe themselves. These are very important to get these right. If not, you can say something very embarrassing. If you would mix these up, me bañas, that would be you bathe me. It's a very different thing than I bathe myself. There are a handful of verbs that do have a spelling change, that are stem changing verbs. Despertarse is one. The E changes to an IE. Acostarse is another one because the O changes to a UE. In those cases, the book should tell you, or your vocab list should tell you there beside the word UE or IE, meaning that there's a change, O to UE or E to IE. In those cases, you still have to take the se off, put it in front as the correct reflexive pronoun, and then when you conjugate as normal, you conjugate it like you would all other stem changing verbs. Me despierto. Remember, despierto, yo, is inside the shoe, and therefore it does have a spelling change. As opposed to nos acostamos, nosotros is outside of the shoe, and therefore there is no spelling change.